creating colors, on Figma. So I've done a little bit of research on that. So let me just present to you guys. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma.
So this like if you want to design an application or design a mobile app or design a website and then you're designing from scratch, and most of the times we might get lost in picking the colors that we want to use for this for any design you want to. So there are various either websites that could help us give us an idea, like an inspiration that we could draw inspiration from when we are trying to generate, like trying to come up with colors. So this first one I found is colors.co. So it's just like it's like a website where if you want to generate colors that are going to match, like um they are going to match very well without any, you know, making it look weird or anything. So once you go to this color.co, you can either explore the trending palettes that we already have, that many people are already using out there. So yeah, you can just see, like thousands of colors that are already being combined together and they match very well. So you can either just pick on any one and then combine it on your design. Or if you feel like you want to create a new one on this website, instead of going to this explore trending palettes, you click on this start the generator, and then it just gives you 5 colors. So you continue clicking on space on your system. So as you click, it changes color. So for anyone that you like, say for example, I like this particular green, this dark slate gray, and then I like it, so I just lock it here. So once I lock it, I continue clicking my space button on my laptop. So this particular color is now locked, and then it's going to generating other colors that can also rhyme with this green. So we can just play around with um generating a color palette with this website. So also for the second website, this is color hunt. So this is also like showing different trending color palettes that we already have. You can see this particular purple is showing like different shades of purple. So we can just go and use any one that we like. So this whole color, this thing, like once as we are beginners, we can just be looking for a color like an erase like an existing color palette that we can make use of. Then as we go on in our design journey, on our design career, we get to learn how to create our own color palettes from the scratch. So you can still use any of this one to design your application. So that's that for this color hunt. So for this second one, this is color wheel, yes, but is in Adobe Color. So this kind of bring different, just like the way we discuss different types of creating colors. So on this top left here, that we have custom. So you can click on any of the color types that you want. So we already spoke about the very basic one, the monochromatic, the complementary. So these other ones you can just play around with so to understand how it works. So for this first one, this is how it's going to, it picks color from a particular segment. So you can decide to turn it at any side that you want, and then you pick, and then it generates the colors for that side. Then if you want a monochromatic color, this is like for a particular shade, and then you can also pick You can also change it. If you want a shade of yellow, you just turn it to, if you want the shade of red, turn it and generates like that for you. So if you want the, we'll just talk about the complementary colors. These are colors that are opposite the wheel. So you can see it's picking green and it's picking red. So if you want to pick, say, yellow and purple, for example, you just change it to where you want it to pick, and then you um either copy the color code from here and use on your Figma, or if you want to customize a particular color to fit what you want, you can just customize it. So that is that about the colors. Okay, I think I can paste it the on our, for people that want to go and play around with it. Um, okay, this is for Adobe Color. All right. So that is all about colors. So on our today's topic on typography, and now today's topic on typography. So just as we've discussed about, you know, the basics of colors, it's very, very important for us to understand the basics. Just like I've gone through the um the Adobe Color website, you can see that it's not only complementary and monochromatic colors that we have there. There are lots of and types of colors, but then it's always good for us to understand the basics. Then as we progress in our career, we can now keep on trying to advance our knowledge in different topics that we'll discuss on this course. So for today, we are going to touch the basics of fonts or typography, and we'll try to, understand the like the basic origin of fonts, how we started using fonts from inception, and how we can easily, and what makes a font readable, and how we can easily use these fonts and choosing the right fonts in our design. So the first thing we are going to talk about, like, typography is just an art of arranging text so it can be readable. And as we are using it on our application, users can be able to understand the information that we are trying to portray. Say you want them to perform an action like to purchase a vehicle, or to add a debit card. Whatever thing that you are trying to write is from what you have written that they will understand the message that you are trying to portray to them. And whatever you are trying to write, you need to make it very legible and very readable for them, so that they don't have to strain their eyes, and they can easily understand any message that you're trying to portray in different pages of your application. So a user should not be able to should not confuse a forget password to reset password. So whatever fonts that you are using, the message you are trying to use should be very clear and simple for anybody that is using your application. So there are different ways of trying to make a text to be readable or or illegible. So for a particular study of a text, so um the handwriting, like we all did handwriting in school when we were learning from, say, kindergarten or nursery school, or we have our children that is doing handwriting. You know how the handwriting book is, and then you have the blue line, the red line, it's and then if you are trying to write, you must be very cautious of touching the correct lines, and so that um your letters is not really passing where it's not supposed to pass, and the letters is sitting where it's supposed to sit. So that's the same study that we are trying to do here today. So for this, you can have like, if you have a line of text, for example, and then we want to evaluate different different parts of this text, and then you can see here we have like three lines. This first one that is red, the second one, and the third one. So on this first two ones, this second and third one, this is where all the small letters are supposed to sit. You can see the small letter N is seated on, like, in between the two lines. The small letter A is seated in between the two lines. And then you have your capital letter A is extending to touch this upmost line here. So the difference between these two lines here is X height. And then this X height is, it comes from um the name X. Just like if you want to write X, small letter X is also going to sit on these two lines. So between here and here is the X height. And it's on this X height that all your small letter fonts are supposed to sit, except for extensions, like you have this Y here. Then for cap height, the cap height is the height of capital letters. So while we have the X height to be the height of small letters, the cap height is the height of capital letters. So on this side, the text in between different letters, you can see that here the space in between N and A is the letter spacing. And it's very important that for any font that we want to use, we should have a reasonable space in between our letters so that a user can easily understand each word and each letter that they see on the app. So this extension that we have here is the sheriff. We'll go in depth into that as we progress in the class. Then on this baseline, the baseline is the line where all your text is supposed to sit. So when you are choosing your text, and then maybe you are having the E is on top and then the A is below, it means that might be very difficult for your users to be able to understand what you're trying to write. So all the text is actually supposed to sit on this baseline. So this baseline is like an imaginary line that all letters sit on. Then this stroke is like, so this stroke is the line that forms different letters. So you can have for this Y, this from here to here is a stroke, from here to here is a stroke, and then you have stroke here. So a stroke can be straight and a stroke can be a curve. So this Y have like 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes that makes up this Y. Then a descender is, we have a baseline. Then any part that extends below the baseline is what we call the descender. Then any part that extends above the baseline is what we call the ascender. Then the leading is the space in between, like if you have a paragraph, for example, and then you have like two lines of text. So the space in between the first line of text and the second line of text, that is what leading is. This thing might look very abstract, but if you have any question, just type it on the comment section. So I kind of brought it out like so that you can really understand what I'm trying to say. So this baseline, like I said, so this is like the line where all the text will sit. You can see it. This X is sitting on it, the Y is sitting on it, the M is sitting on it, and the D. So it's like an invisible horizontal line that all text sits on. Then the cap height, just like capital letters. So the cap height is the height of any capital letter from this baseline. So you start counting from the baseline and not from this second line where the descender ends. So from this baseline to the cap, to this line is the cap height. Then the x height also is the height of a lowercase, and we have the ascender and the descender. So there are different types of fonts. You know, like most times, most people always say that there are two main types of fonts: the serif and the sans serif. But apart from these most popular ones, there are various type of fonts, and this serif is like an extension of a stroke. So serif is like a French word and is a small projection either at the beginning of a text or at the ending of a text. So for any font at all that you see that have like a styling, it kind of has a styling out from the normal font that you already have. And then you have a styling out from it. That is a serif font. So there are different types of serif fonts. You can see this first one it looks slightly different from the rest of them. And on this, so you can see this first one. This first one is EB Diamond. This is a serif because you can see it has extension from the normal text that we have. Then this other serif too. This is another type of serif. So this is also another type of serif. So for any fonts that we are picking, and then we can see that they have a little bit of styling either at the edge or at the beginning, either at the beginning or at the ending of the text. You can classify that type of font as serif. So you can see this one. This font is Peter. So this is the type of serif too. Then this second type, this is sans serif. So sans means without. That is, does not have a stroke at all. So this is, you can see the styling of the font is just plain. It does not have any extension from the body of the font. So this one also, we have different types of this sans serif. This is work sans. This is a type of sans serif. The next other one. So there are so many types of sans serif, but I just listed a little bit of the ones that I could find. Then the second type of font is monospace. So this displays characters within the same height, like within the same width. It does not really matter the particular character they are trying to display. Like from year to year will always be the same width from this O and from this N and for this S. So for every single letter that you find on this font, they always have the same width. You can see this first one, Robotsu Mono. This is a type of monospace. This other one too. So there are also various types of monospace. Then this one, which is handwriting, it feels like a normal human being's handwriting. So you can see like it's kind of cursive. Some people might call it cursive handwriting. So it's more like a regular handwriting that we can call cursive. So it feels more like a human being's handwriting. And there are different types of the handwriting font type. So for this one, this is, I don't know, this is another type of handwriting. Then this is a dancing script. This is also another type. So it's very important for us to notice that this particular font, even though it's very beautiful, is really going to confuse people. And then we have to be very, very careful where the purpose of using this kind of fonts. So how can we now choose fonts? When we want to design, and then we now want to choose font. That is usually the hassle of trying to design an application from the scratch. And then it's very important to note that when you are choosing fonts, you need to consider the usability of that font as against the beauty. Just like this particular one that I just showed you guys. This font is beautiful, yes, but is it going to be readable to our users? No. So while choosing fonts, you might not want to use particular fonts in as much as it is beautiful. You have to always prioritize if this font is readable, if the spacing in between the letters is wide enough for people to easily understand this is an I and this is an N and this is a G. Just like the font I use here, you can see choosing typeface. This is very readable. Even if you are few meters away from this laptop, at least you'll be able to see that this is reading choosing typeface. So you should be very, very careful that for any font that you want to use on an everyday application, you need to choose fonts that is easily readable and is not going to be confusing for anybody. So there are a few guidelines that we can always use why we want to choose fonts. And then we are going to go through three of them. Like it's not always possible to touch every particular principles in terms of design. We just go through a few, then we allow ourselves to go back on our drawing board and learn a little bit more. So the first, you have to always consider the readability. So this refers to how easy it is for users to read and understand. So if you have like a paragraph on your application, the user should not find it very difficult to move from a line of text to the next line of text to the third line of text. They should be able to read easily from one line to one line without even using their hand to control what they are reading. You know, these are the things that you have to put. These are the things that contribute to a box of fonts, or words of fonts to be easily readable. And the first one is kenning. So just like I have explained, like this is also called like letter spacing. The space in between one particular letter to another letter is called kenning. And then sometimes you might not want to, okay, I have chosen this font. I might not want to adjust the spacing so that it does not look very clustered. So say for example, we have this particular font and then we want to adjust the kerning of this font. Okay, let's make use of this one. We want to adjust the kerning of this font. You can go to here is line spacing. Second one is letter spacing. So when you increase the letter, the letter spacing, it's going to continue increasing the the spacing in between this letter M and letter O. So this is what kerning is. And then if you are choosing a font and you need to be doing this means that this font is not really a good font. So you should use fonts that you don't need to start going through each of the particular words to start increasing the letter spacing. It's always, it can be useful maybe when you are trying to decorate, like you are trying to design a decorative kind of design and you want to just play around a little bit of the fonts. Different purposes matters in choosing fonts. So this letter spacing is useful when you just want to be artistic, you just want to play around and do some different things in your design. But on a usual way, it's not really advisable to be choosing fonts that you have to come and start increasing the letter spacing for people to be able to understand or see the particular text that you're trying to write. So this is for kerning. So tracking refers to the space between all the letters in a word or a line of a text. So I would say we don't have to. Okay, let me just try and write the second. Um, Let me try and write the second word here. So these are two words. Let me take this back how it was before. So zero. Okay. So tracking is refers to the space between all the letters in a word or a line of text. So kenning is the space between here and here. You can see the space in between this M and this O is kenning. So it's kenning is for individual letters. Why this tracking is for the whole text. Like how wide is this text? The whole text as a whole. That is what tracking is. And you can see as you keep on increasing the kenning of this particular word is going to affect the tracking of it because the entire width is now being increased too as well. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. Then the third one is leading. Then this is the space between lines of text or between rows in a paragraph. So you can see between this first one, the space between this letter D and this letter O is called leading. And you can decide that you want to reduce this space. Okay, this space is very big, for example, and then you want to reduce it. You come to this right panel of your Figma, and then you can see this first one is line height. So once you reduce it, you can see it is now reducing. Then if you want to increase it also, you can also increase it to be very wide. So that is what leading is. So there are different instances where we might want to adjust um either the caning or the tracking or the leading of our typography so that we can make it to be very readable. Especially this line height is something that we, we are always going to use in our design, because once you choose a font and then you choose the size, you would have to also choose a line height so that when somebody is trying to go through a particular design, they can see that okay, this is the second line and this is the third line and this is the fourth line. So it's so the amount of space that we use between the first line of text and the second line of text have to always be balanced so that it does not cause confusion to our users. So the second principle also, or the second factor in choosing a font, is we have to make sure that any font that we want to choose is legible. So you can see these different fonts I have displayed there. This first one, so it is very easy for people to be able to recognize that this is an S and this is a T. So your font should be legible so that um at a glance, anybody that wants to look at your application should know that this is a login or this is a sign in. They should not be confusing that okay, is this S or is this I or is this G or is this M, because the way this S and T is forming is more of looking like maybe M or love or something like that. So this kind of things can be confusing for users. And this second one also, this F and I, you can see how both of them join together. It's not really clear and it's not really so obvious that this is FI. So when you have fonts that are styled like this, it's always very advisable that you need to choose another font instead of using that particular font. So we have this particular one. You know, this word, all the letters are just joined together. And there are different instances where this particular fonts can be used and it will be perfect, yes. But when it comes to designing for users that are going to be using our everyday app, you understand that it's very good to choose simple fonts and fonts that are really very easy for anybody to identify their letters. So, like I said, like the use of typeface at different instances, different applications you want to design. Trust me, like as you are going be you are going to be a designer, you are going to be designing various sectors. You can design for children today, you can design for vehicle owners tomorrow, you can design for a financial organization for another day. So at different instances, for any purpose they are designing for, you should be able to choose the right font for that purpose. So you want to design for a bank, for example, you should be able to know that, okay, you should use a formal type of letter. You should not start using cursive or using playful letters for that kind of organization. And say, for example, you want to design for an artistic organization, people that are into fashion, maybe like a fashion display kind of website. You should know that you should use fonts that is going to be like creative and not entirely so formal, like the ones you would choose if you want to design for banks. For designing different applications, you should know, okay, what is this application trying to say? What's the message? What's the purpose? Is it for education, or is it for fashion, or is it for playful stuff? It will now help you to choose the kind of feel you want to give to this application. And then it also goes down to the type of font you also use. So you can see for this first image here, you can see that this is like an artistic website, and this font is just right for like an artistic kind of website. If for example you want to use a serif font, it's going to look too formal and it's not going to give that kind of creative vibe. While on this other hand, this first one, they are trying to use a serif type of fonts, like we know what serif is. Serif are the fonts that have extension, and then it gives more like a formal kind of feel. And then you want to design an application for kids. Say you want them to come and um, watch videos and learn how to read ABC or learn how to sing different rhymes. And then you are using fonts that is just black. And sorry, can you keep your question? Can you write a question or write anything on the comment section? And then you just want to use a very formal text, and everything is just plain and it's just giving a very formal kind of look. You can see that kind of font choosing is not really in line with what they are designing for. And then you can see the second one. You can see the kind of fonts that is being used here. It's kind of playful, and then they even added colors. Colors that are being added to kind of show, okay, this is a kind of a kids application. And then even when kids want to interact with this application, they would want to even stay longer on the app and click on different things. But on this first one, it does not mean that this font is not bad, or does not mean that this font is bad, or this font cannot be used. It's just that this font is good, but it's not used for the right purpose. So it's always very good to align your purpose with the type of font that you're trying to choose. So it's the same content like choosing your audience. What's your audience? Are you trying to design for kids? Or are designing for Gen Z? Or are designing for adults? The kind of fonts that you choose should line with your audience. Then how can we now combine different fonts? For different applications, like almost recently, when I started designing new, I was always using a different font for my heading, and then a different font for my body text and caption and other small text. But along the line, I started using just one font for everything. So, but then if you want to combine different fonts, you should be able to know how to combine fonts so that they are not, so that they don't conflict in the eye. We already spoke about different type of font like the serif, the sans serif, the handwriting and the rest. So if you want to combine two fonts, it's important for you to note that it's not always going to sit well in the eye when you combine two serif, like two different types of serif. Okay, let me say for example, we have this. Where is our serif? Okay, we have this, and then we want to combine two different fonts together. And this first one is the first type of font. So let's say, um, okay, wait. Let's just try to create a very simple, let's say login screen, for example. And then we want to use this first font. Login. Okay. You've created your first font to be a serif, and then it's fine. It's sitting okay. And then you want to create your second, enter details. Enter details to continue to proceed. And then you want to create your second type of font. And then you are now choosing, this is the first type of serif. This is another type of serif. And then you're now choosing another type of serif to combine with it again. So let's try to reduce it so it can look more like a a sub a sub description kind of, can give a sub description kind of feel. Sorry, I'm just trying to, okay. So say for example, you want to combine fonts, and then you are using two different types of serif to, as a combination of fonts. You can see it's not really sitting well in the eye. It's just going to create a lot of, this is even the small text. So for example, you need to now have different things here. Like it's not going to have a very good contrast. The contrast between the heading and this and the subheading, there's no much distinction, and this is not a good combination of fonts. So just like the way we have here, font pairing, this first one is not really in line with this the body text. But if, for example, you want to combine text, and then you've chosen your first heading to be a serif, and then it's always good for your body text to be sans serif. That's the opposite of serif. So you can pick from any sans serif option, or you can just go with easiest one, that is inter, and then you pick inter. So you can see that this combination is you will sit better than having different decorations on your application. So just like in this first one now, we have different styles of fonts, and then the heading is having a different type of style. The second one is also having a different type of style. You see that it's not really a very good combination of typefaces. But this second one here, the first one is having its style, yes, and the second one is just plain. This will likely be an inter font. The second one is just plain. That is not causing so much distraction for the users. They are just going to read what they're supposed to read and go their way. You don't have to always make your work to be that complex and confusing. You have to design something that is simple and it's very usable. So when you are trying to combine fonts, you don't necessarily have to use too many fonts. Say for example, you have your header one, and then you've done your header one, and then you've done your sub description. When you want to do your username, you don't have to start choosing another font again. You don't have to use like three different types of fonts or four different types of fonts on just one application. Working with one or two fonts for your entire application is okay. You can even work with one type of font, but that one font will now have different weights. Say for example, I can design this same login with just Inter, and then if I want to make my login, I just simply have to make it to be bold and increase the height, trying to add some kind of hierarchy to it. So you can see that even the fact that it is one type of font is still creating a kind of distinction between this header one and and the the sub. I don't know why this thing is like this. And the sub description. So even if you want to use a particular font, you can still make use of it. But if you want to use different types of fonts, at least working with at least two different type of fonts is okay for your application. Then it's also very important to reduce similarity. So if you want to combine two fonts, and then you are using two fonts that are kind of selling, they are kind of, they kind of look alike in their styling, is not really a very good one. Just like this first example we have here, this first one, second one is kind of selling, it's kind of it's kind of having the same styling in a certain way. It's not exactly the same, but it's a little bit, looking alike. But this second example we have here is very distinct. You are so, like, it's so obvious that this font is not this particular one. It's very important for us to reduce any form of common styling in our different fonts that we want to choose. So for text accessibility, you know, there are different ways we can make our text to be very accessible. Just like I've been mentioning, you can always add high contrast, just like we have mentioned, we have shown here. This first one and the second one is very distinct. Everybody should know that. Anybody that sees this to know that this is a heading and this is a subheading. So it's a very distinct type of font text, and then it makes this very accessible for anybody. So um in in addition to the styling, in a way of trying to make our text be accessible, we should always know how to use a clear message. As easy as sign into your account. If you notice that for every login screen you see, the title is always login, or for any sign, the title is always sign up. People are not using login and sign up because they are out of words, or they don't know how to construct new words. They are using simple words so that for anybody that wants to log in, it's very clear for them. Once they read it, they can easily understand that this is for login. So I gave two very distinct examples of, say you are trying to design an application for a financial app, and then someone wants to make a transaction. Say they have inputted a card, and they've inputted a pin, and they have a failed transaction. So you want to design a prompt to tell them that your transaction has been failed. So these two prompts that we have here, this first one, something went south, your payment credentials have been accessed and deemed insufficient. you may be considered or opt for an alternative course of action. If a layman should actually read this particular font, this particular prompt, the person is going to even be confused, like, what's the meaning of went south? Does it mean that I'm going to somewhere else? I'm going to south of Nigeria? It's not really clear. It's just so it's not anybody that's going to understand that went south means that it didn't go according, like it was not successful. It means it's failed. So as you are trying to choose fonts and then want to type in things that we want to type for our users, it's always very good to be as clear as possible. If payment is failed, say payment failed or payment declined, payment successful. You don't have to start looking for big words to show that you are a first class scholar in designing for users. You have to use very simple words as possible, and that is why in product design there's a line for UX writing, because UX writing is a very broad segment on its own. It's something that you need to actually study and know how to use the right words to convey your information. So you can see the second prompt that you're also trying to say the same message, but you're saying it in a very simple and clear manner, saying payment decline. Unfortunately, your payment was not completed. Please check your payment details and try again. You can see the person is already knowing that, okay, I can try again. And not using, you may consider or opt for an alternative course of action. You can see it's not really very accessible to everybody all over the world. There are people that will read this first prompt and they will get the message. That is fine. But there are some that once they read, they even get more confused than they were before. So this second one also is a second example, but I've kind of touched this one. Can somebody just tell me why these two pictures? One is termed one, second one is termed correct. Chisom.
Good evening, Jacinta. So
Good evening.
you mentioned we were trying to talk about the hierarchy. I don't know if I'm using the right word. You mentioned that we need to have a distinction between the subtext and the main text, so that when somebody sees the first text, they know that okay, this is like the heading and this is like a subheading. So the first one does not have a clear distinction between accessibility in design and the subtext, while the second one has, so it's clearly in bold, it's darker to show that okay, this is the heading or this is the top, and the other one is a subtext following it.
Okay. That's really very explanatory. Okay. So I don't really need to say much about it again. I hope you guys understood what Chisom have said. So with this, we have come to the end of our typography class. Okay, I don't know whether to take questions first before we go into how to create these fonts on our Figma board. So, do anybody have any questions? Or I should just continue? Uh, okay, I think I'll just continue. Let me just continue. Okay. So this is like we've we've spoken about how to choose fonts. There are different ways of choosing fonts. If you want to choose fonts, you have to be very careful that you have to be very observant to be sure that there is a very meaningful space in between letters. Okay, let's even go through. Let's even go to some websites that we have in the big organizations right now, and let's see the kind of fonts that they are using, so that maybe we can understand how it's very important to choose very simple fonts. So you can see Apple, for example. You see, as giants as Apple is, they are not on their website using very complex fonts. I'm not really sure what this type font is. It could be inside, it could not be, I don't know. But you can see that this font type is very, very clear, and they're not making it complex for people to, try to understand what they're trying to write. And then for you to make your website beautiful, it's not by using decorative fonts or by using cursive fonts. You can still use a font as plain as Inter, and then you can make your website still beautiful and they are now usable. Which other one again would I go to? Okay. Now this is a Nigerian, this is a Nigerian firm. Let's see the font that they use. So this first one, um you can see this their heading. I think they use the same type of font. Can I inspect fonts? They use sans serif. Okay. I think they use the same type of fonts for even their heading and their subheading. But you can see that this font is very readable, even if it's stylish in a way. It's still very readable for anybody to, you know, to um to understand. So when you are trying to choose fonts for your application, and then you are trying to draw some inspiration in getting fonts, you can just go to top tech companies that they're over the world. You can even go to Paystack, you can go to Flutterwave, just see the kind of fonts that they use on their website. It can give you like a kind of inspiration to know the fonts to use on your own. So you can see in all of these websites that I've been to, they are not saying fonts that is very hard to use. It's very clear that these people are using fonts that is so readable. So also in getting some fonts, in getting inspiration for fonts also, you can say, okay, I want to also get inspiration for designing a new application. And you can go to this fonts in use to see different types of fonts and how they are being used. Like I said, it's always good to choose type of fonts with the purpose of what you are trying to do. Like we are trying to design for a fashion brand. The font might most likely have different styling with what you design for a bank. Why is this one thing is not open? Okay, so you can see different fonts already listed there, and you can see how they are being used in real life. So sometimes you might want to choose a font and you are trying to imagine, okay, how will this font even be in real life? And then, you can see the different fonts that you already have there. Say you want to design for a brand or for any stylish store, you can just come here and then you pick anyone that you want and then use in your Figma. So sometimes there are fonts that are free and there are fonts that are paid. So if you are looking for fonts, you are looking for inspiration, you have to search for fonts that are free, except you have money to pay. Sha. That's search for fonts that are free and then you can use them. So while you are also trying to get inspiration, be very careful that the font that you are liking or you are in love with is not a paid font. So most likely that maybe if you see a particular font that you like here and is not on Figma, okay, let's check this cactus. It's possible that you might want to use it on your Figma board and then you search for cactus. Okay, use cactus, but it's not exactly the same thing. But let's search for another one. Let's search for Azo Sans. Say you want to use Azo Sans, for example, and then I don't like how this thing is giving me. And then you want to look for Azo Sans. and then you come here to check for Azo Sans, and you're not seeing the fonts that you want to use. So another way, you can just go on Google and try to see if maybe the font is free that you can download. Azo Sans. Okay. And then when you come here, you can see different. Let's try to download it. Let's see if it's free. Okay. You can see how it's even looking here. It's giving a preview of it. Then you can just download it. But most times I don't always like downloading fonts like that. I just like using the one that is already on Figma. But in this design thing, there will always be um rare cases where you just really need this font and you just have to download it. So in that cases, in those cases, you can just download it and then you install. So you have to science because for just like the way we have here, for every font type, this is a font type. So there are different rates for it. You have the thin, extra light, regular, medium. There are different rates for it. So just like that's the same way you also download. This one now is bold italic. So you download it. Download for everything. But we don't have to go through. We don't have to go through each of them to save time. So for what's the name of the fonts again? Azo Sans. So you can see if you search for it, it's not still here. You have to close your Figma and open it again for the font to now show. So let's just wait. Sorry for let's continue to lobby as well. Wait. Please, if you have any question, just type it on the comment section so that we might not forget. Then if I missed it, you can see call my attention to it. Ah, okay. Azo mono test. Is Azo mono test at another? No wonder it was showing. It's Azo mono test. Okay. That means he implemented immediately. I wanted to download Azo mono. Okay. Azo sounds. I think my network is not allowing Figma to open. All right. So apart from these fonts in use, if we also want to get inspiration, this Helvetica, I really like this fonts. You can also okay, like this is like if you want to get some inspiration, you can always go to this place. Let me put the URL also. Then what is happening? Then also like it's not always um sometimes it might still be stuck even if you come to this font in use. You can just a simple Google search can just help you. You can just say give me best fonts that is being used for websites, for example. And then you can just come up with it just give you like 11 best fonts. These are the 11 best fonts. You can see this one will go to you can see different fonts that is already giving you. So you can still also get your inspiration from this kind of search. It wasn't always have to play fair display. But you always have to taking of funds from your head. You can just do a little bit of research, and then you can even do best funds for maybe if you are designing a financial app, you cannot be very specific and say financial app or financial what. It gives you the funds that is mostly going to be used for fintech. Let me try to open another. Let me know if it's just uh, okay. I think I may be forced to answer questions since my Figma is giving me problems. All right, let me read. I think I saw a question here. So you mean once I load the font, automatically appears on Figma? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes it just appears. Sometimes you don't have to. You might have to close your Figma and open it again. Okay, let me wait for some time. So right now this Figma online. All right. Sorry for this glitch. I don't know why Figma is just being. All right. I just want to, show us how to create textiles on Figma. So you have gone through the process of doing your own basic research and choosing the fonts that you want to use. So ah, why is this happening? Let's just hope that this is going to work on this web. I don't know why it's not working. I don't just know. Okay, 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 okay. Should we take let us go through the questions. Do you guys have any questions so far while I'm still battling with this so that the class is not just quiet? Do anybody have any questions from the for what we've learned so far? You could just unmute and speak. And it's very difficult for us to go to the second part of our class. Let me think if I stop sharing whether it's going to affect it. Whether it's going to work. Are there any questions? No questions. So you guys really understood. And you guys can see this opportunity to fill your attendance list. Ah, are you guys still hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
ma'am, we
Yes,
can hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Okay. I don't get to be sure. My Figma is just having, I don't know. Okay, so like this, I think tomorrow being Saturday, we are going to be having a an assessment. So for all the whole classes that we've had, right from the very first one, UX, user experience design, up to the last class that we have, we are going to have like a kind of a short assessment to assess um our knowledge and what we've gathered from our class. So it's very good if we can just go through the last videos that we already have. We have it. We are very lucky that we have YouTube videos on TEFEM network. So you could just go to YouTube and then refresh our memory on from the very first class to the last class. You can watch the videos to get like the understanding of to try to refresh your memory on the things that we've learned. Because tomorrow being Saturday, there'll be an assessment and it could be like a questionnaire or it could be theory. It could be like what is something you explain, or it could be like pick the correct answer. So whichever way, we should just be prepared for our tomorrow's class, for our tomorrow's assessment. So sorry for the break in transmission. My Figma is open now. Let me share my screen again. And because I was sharing, that was why I used to. So what time? Tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's class. Tomorrow class. So I don't know. I don't tomorrow. So I was saying, okay, yes. So let us just go through, like we want to create an application, and then we've done our research on the type of fonts that we want to use. So you want to use two fonts or you want to use one font. Whatever you want to use, it does not really matter. So it matters if it's plenty. But as long as it's just one or two, and then you are combining it very well, you have chosen the font that you use and you're okay with it. Now we now want to come to your Figma board and you want to work with this your font that you've chosen. So say for example you've chosen a monospace and you know that they are design system. I don't know if we've come across design system. Design system is like like the way we have guidelines and principles. and then you have okay, you have formula, times table formula. You know, like the way we have times 2 times 2 3, you have a table formula. So design system is like, this is the formula that we're going to be using for our designs. So in the design system, you define the styles you want to use for every element on your design. So say you want to style your text, you are going to be using different types of text. So you want to be able to style all your texts so that if today you come to your application and then you want to put header one, your styling for header one should always be the same styling for any other page you have on your application. And for you to be able to do that, that is why we use the design system. And let's say it's also very important where you have more than one designer working on a particular project. So I am on this Figma board, yes, but it's possible that I might have like two designers that are colleagues and we are working in the same company, and then we are three designers. Because I want to use monospace today and I want to use Inter tomorrow, it doesn't really matter. For every design that I create, I'm always going to follow the styling in my design system. So once you've defined that for every header one, you want your header one to be, say, size 42, and then you want it to be bold, and then you create this for header one. This is the styling for header one, meaning that for every time you want to put heading on your application, you must come and say, I must use this styling. So for us to be able to make it possible, that is why we are creating a style, a textiles on our Figma board, so that once we've created, we can come tomorrow and we can reuse that same textile again without changing what we've used before on our screen one or our screen two. And then we come to screen three. Instead of now using medium, we now mistakenly now use bold. That is not easily going to be trackable when we don't have a design system or a planned way of designing. So it's always very good for when you want to choose once you have chosen a font and you want to now say, okay, we want your paragraph, for example, to be 16 size, and then you want your heading to be 40, and then you want, like, okay, this is, say this is for header one, this is subheading, then you want your heading to be 40, and then you want your subheading to be, say, 20. No, you want your subheading to be, say, 24, and you want your body text to be, say, 16. So you can see you've created the different, this is header one, this is subheading, this is body text. So you've created the different styles for each part of your design. For this body text, you can say I want it to be regular and not medium. So you've put it as regular, and then for medium, for your subheading, you want it to be in medium and you want the size to be 24. And for your header one, you want it to be bold, for example, and then you want, let me try to put it on the background so it can be there. So you can see, like, it's, you're already trying to create the kind of styling you want to use all throughout your application. And say for this one, for all your captions, you want to use, say, 14. And then it's very important to know that if if you are designing for a website, for a web application, the lowest font the lowest size you can go is 16. That is for web. For web. For web design, the lowest you can go is 16 pixels. This is in pixel. But for mobile design, the lowest you can go is 14 pixel. That's for mobile. But it's always good. Your default should just be 16, even on mobile. But the lowest you can go, because if your text is very tiny and the user is trying to zoom in to see what you wrote, it's not even a good experience on its own. So you need to be able to understand the the different guidelines also in creating your text hierarchy. So we have this different. So I already have one here. Like we don't necessarily if we want to create our own from scratch. So this is like a segment of our design system that I spoke about. And then you can see for header one, I want my header one to be extra bold, and I want the font to be this font size, the line height to be this, the font type will be this, and I use the same font type for all my whole text styling. And what is it going to be used for? It's going to be used for walkthrough and main title. So my header 2 is going to be 24, subtitle 1, 14, body 1, 16, body 2. So this is like my own hierarchy of the application I want to build. But then there are plugins that we can use. People who like fast. If you don't want to build this by yourself from scratch, you can just try to. There are different types of plugin. Like Google is your friend. Google is your friend when it comes to all this stuff. If you are confused on what size should I use for my header one, just browse on Google. Standard for headings, and then you get it. Is it supposed to be bold, or is it supposed to be 24 pixel or 32 pixel? And then by the time you continue taking close look at different applications or websites, you tend to understand how they are using their fonts too in their own site. So this is also a form of font pair. So just like I've mentioned before, like you can say that I want to pair. Okay, this particular plugin is for font pair, but I'll just go through it. You can choose that you want to pair your own fonts, or you can just go to the existing font pairing that have been done before. So you can see this this is like the first font pairing. You can see that this title here is all decorated, and the subheading is plain. The title here is all decorated and the subheading is plain. You can see the common use of pairing fonts. It's always not combining decoration with decoration. It just makes it very, very difficult. So you can also download this font pair. So if you want to go to the plugin side, you right click on an open space on your Figma, and then on this plugin, you click on manage plugins. So if you don't have it, you search for the plugin you want to use. So when you search for it, you download it. So for this particular one, this is font pair. So I already have it, so as I open. But if not, I'll have just downloaded it. So we want to also check for type scales. So this particular plugin is to create this similar thing, this similar hierarchy that I just created now. But I created this one from scratch, but there's a plugin for it where you can just create it. You cannot create it by itself. So it's the base size. So if you're designing for a website, like I said, and then you want your lowest have to be 16. So your base size, they have to be 16. But say you want it to be 14, you can change it to 14. But please don't go below 14 when it comes to mobile. You can just say leave it at 16. So for this scale, if you're designing for mobile, you can use this measure sword. So these are other options. There are options for, since we are doing UI design, this is for user interface. Just use measure that sword. But if you're a graphics designer, for example, there are some times where you have to use this other type of scaling. But for this class, you can just stick to measure third. Then line height, you can change it. Just like the line height I showed initially, like where you can increase the line height, where I increase the line height of different fonts in this place. Have the same thing that is also working here. You can also increase your line height and then you generate. You can just play around, um you can play around this particular plugin. So this plugin is called Type Skills. So you can just check online too. To be very honest, I've not used this plugin personally. I just researched it for this class. So that is why Google is your friend. If you want to use plugins for all your designs, beautiful. But if you want to design from scratch, you have to do some research on the guidelines for designing. Like sometimes we go through material UI design. So it's kind of um is a website where both even developers and we UI designers we go to learn the different guidelines for different distance. Sorry, let me go to for fonts. So that's, so we're talking about fonts here. So this particular one, this is fonts. So you can, oh, this is for developers. Sorry. Um, I want to just show you quickly what I'm trying to like I think I'm debating a little bit. But this is like the different guidelines. You can just go through this material UI to get the different guidelines that you have to use on your font. You can see this for the it's just telling you that this is the correct measurement you have to use for your line height and for your leading. So let's go back to our, so we've created this hierarchy using our plugin, and then we now want to create the style guide on our Figma. So on this first one, we are seeing inter. Oh, we don't want to use inter. We want to use mango because the plugin automatically created for inter. So we can just change the font to mango. So for this first one, that it is the header. So this one is not, but we can just, or let me use what I created. So this first one is my header and it's bold 13. So I want to create my first heading to be bold 13. So I click out of any frame I must have clicked. On this right side, you can see local variables, local styles. We want to create text styles, so you have to go to local styles. You click on this plus, create style here, and then you can see text, color, effect, grid. We want to create a text style, so we click on text. And then the first text style we want to create is header 1. So you type with the name is header 1. Description, what's it used for? For main page title. Okay, you can put the description there, though not compulsory. Then you want it to be manhood. So you put it manhood, and then please mute your mic. So the weight is extra bold. Then you put extra bold. The the point size is 30. Then your line height, here is for the line height, and is 140. That's a mistake, 140%. So you know, like this particular font, you don't have to work on letter spacing. Like I mentioned, for a good font, you don't necessarily have to adjust this letter spacing. So we created this first style, and then you click on create style. So you can see on this right side, it's showing you a header one. So we want to create the next text style. So we go to here, so we click on add text, and we are putting it as header 2. So what's it going to be used for? For all our page titles. And we want it to be manual. So um it's still extra bold, but it's going to be 24. And then the line height is also 140%. So it creates the style. So that's how you continue creating. I want to create, like, say this header 2 and to up to body text, so that I can now use it on an application that I want to design now. So this subtitle 1, why is this the same page title or title description? So it's also going to be manual, and you know, all these things I'm explaining here, these are designed from scratch, but there are plugins already. And for, I don't know why I'm not really a fan of plugins. There are still plugins that you can use, and then it will auto generate all these things I'm doing. Then I want to create, like, to up to body 1, so that I can use it for this. Body 1 should be section title. That is even section title. Then manual, still manual. Then 16. Then still regular 140. Great. Okay. So we've created just 4 textile. You can have so many textiles. You can see all these ones I have here, but let's just use this for this class. So I can decide that, okay, I have let me create a second body thing. So use it and describe what I want to. This is 12, 14. So coaster. So we have created five textiles, and then say, just like we use on our laptop, we want to group. If we want to group the textile, so it can be easily accessible, even if it's not compulsory. And like we have the header 1, header 2, body 1, body 2, and you want to group 2 textiles to one group, you can just group it, and then you say this is for headings. This is for everything about headings. And you click on enter. So this is already a group. And then if you want to create a new textile under this group, you just come to that group that you created, and then you click on plus. And any style that you create is going to fall under this headings part. Then for this body, I also want to group it so that I don't get confused when I want to use my body, I can group it to the body text. So all my body text style is going to appear here. The heading should come first. Headings, this is headings, this is body text. So once I want to do, so that is that around creating text styles. So how can we now implement it? Let's just design something. Okay, let me not draw a frame. Let me select from our existing frame. We want to design a very simple login. Login is like the safe to the safest thing to design. Laptop is sorry. Let me plug my laptop.
Hello, I can't hear anything. Is it from my side or me?
I think our network is bad. She'll soon be back on the call.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, oh my god. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Where did you stop hearing? I don't even know that I've left the class.
You said you were going to plug your laptop. I think that was the last thing I heard.
Okay, but you were you seeing my screen?
No, no, no.
So when I was showing the Figma board, nobody saw my screen for creating textiles.
Yes, we saw your board there before you say you want to create
Yes, you
your
saw
you
your
want to
board
plug
then.
your power.
Ah. Thank God. I was almost thinking I have left a long time ago.
No, no, no.
Okay. So I think I have to go through just the last part. Okay. So like I was saying, how to now reuse what we've created before. Like we've created different textiles and then we want to reuse it in our design. So once we click on this text, say we want to do the create account, then we've typed it, and then we can now select if we want it to be the header one or the header two, or you want it to be body one, though it's not body, so it's going to be header one. So you can now go to the description. So you can now say, okay, I want this one to be body two. And then you can see it's always so by the time you come tomorrow and then you want to continue from where you stop, say from another screen, you can easily track that this is the styling for your headers and this is the styling for your body text. So that is that's the that's that about typography for today. So do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Because it seems my network is just misbehaving. Yes, please go ahead. If you have questions, please you can let me check. Do you have any questions on typography?
Yes, 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 sir. I wanted to ask concerning some fonts that is it like is it every font that we have to use like to give them like later spacing, like is it every text that has to like we have to space, or is those ones that are just like not readable?
No, no, it's not all. So there are some fonts that you might want to use, and then we notice that the spacing between a particular letter to another one letter is not really much. So we can decide to put the letter spacing. But there are some that they don't really need it. So it's not for every letter. But then while you are choosing your font, it's always good to choose fonts that you don't need to start putting letter spacing.
Okay, ma. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think Joyce is saying that she figured that thought that my Windows was outdated. Okay. Thank God you figured the way out. So are there any other questions? I've already announced that by tomorrow we are going to have our assessment. So in absence of any questions, we can end the class. So by tomorrow, we'll go through the assessments and then we'll have more practicals. I'll let confirm. You can unmute and speak. My system. Thank you, you too. I'd like to confirm if the use of typefaces, combining typefaces and text in solution also included in the guidance process. Yes, yes, they are. So they are all the guidelines or what we can use, what we can take note of while we are trying to select a font. The use of the typeface. What is it? What's the purpose of what they are designing? That's use of typeface. Then combining typefaces. Are we combining sheriff with sans serif? Then that's accessibility. Is it very readable for people to easily denote that this is an F and this is an I and this is I? So these are the guidelines for selecting fonts. Thank you very much. Have a blessed weekend, everybody.
You too, ma.
Thank you.
Good night, ma.
Good night.